right, so these series of videos are going to go over each of the parts or the components of blood in a little bit more detail. So we're going to start with blood plasma, or that fluid in which all the formed elements or the cells actually float around in. Now, your blood plasma is the extracellular component of blood, so it's considered the non-living part of blood. This is why you can get paid to donate plasma, but you cannot get paid to donate blood. So when you donate blood, you donate whole blood, meaning all of the formed elements, all of the cells, and cells are a living tissue, just like an organ. So you're getting the cells and you're getting the plasma. So because the cells are involved, it's illegal to exchange body tissues for money. But in plasma, they take the blood and they separate out the formed elements and put them back into your body and just keep the plasma, which doesn't have any living cells in it, and thus you can't get paid to donate plasma. Plasma is mostly water, so about 93% of it is water, and then the other 7% are plasma proteins. And in a healthy level to be centrifuged in a blood sample, so when we talk about the hemocrit and the packed cell volume, we look at how much of that, what percentage is the formed elements, or the red blood cells really is what we're looking at. So we just subtract the total from that in order to get the appropriate percentages. So in a female, it'd be about 53 to 63%, and in a male, it'd be about 48 to 68% of a blood sample should be blood plasma level and a centrifuged blood sample level. So if this is higher or lower, it can indicate a disorder. And again, typically when we look at these levels, we're going to focus more on the red blood cells and their percentage, where those percentage ranges are. But by doing some simple subtraction, we can figure out what the plasma levels should be too. Blood is made up of plasma is made up of three major groups of plasma proteins: the albumin, globulins, and fibrinogens. There are three types of globulins: alpha, beta, and gamma. And then there's also some regulatory proteins that are going to be tossed or mixed in there as well. And then finally, there's going to be some plasma solutes, including electrolytes, so like sodium, potassium, and calcium ions, gases, some oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen, nutrients, vitamins, lipids, glucose, and amino acids, and then metabolic or chemical waste products. But the vast majority of plasma, the vast majority is water, but of the remaining 7%, it's going to be mostly these plasma proteins, and then the regulatory and the plasma solutes will kind of kick in the rest. So starting with albumin, a normal albumin level is 3.0 to 5.0 grams per deciliter of blood. It is the most abundant of the plasma proteins, so it's going to make up about 54% of the total plasma protein. So remember that plasma protein is only 7% of the blood, but 54% of that 7% is going to be albumin. It acts as a binding protein, so it carries fatty acids and steroid hormones within the watery plasma. Remember that lipids are hydrophobic, so they don't like water. You know this because oil and water don't mix. But we need the water in the plasma to carry lipid-based structures like fatty acids and steroid hormones. And so albumin will act as a carrier molecule almost to kind of taxi those things through the body within that watery plasma. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to be transported. Albumin is really important in fluid balance because it is going to be the main chemical that's going to provide an osmotic pressure, which means a pressure that's going to be placed on the blood vessels from the plasma. This is going to help hold water inside of the blood vessels and also draw water from the tissues across the vessels and into the blood if we need to pull water from it. So if we're really dehydrated, we can pull water into our bloodstream because of this albumin. And this is going to be really, really important in maintaining the proper blood volume in our bodies and blood pressure. So if the volume of fluid in our body becomes off, either too high or too low, then we are in our body's going to have really, really dire consequences to that. So we have to maintain that blood volume, and albumin is one chemical that will do that. And by maintaining that blood volume, we also maintain blood pressure. Globulins are going to be normal level, 1.0 to 1.5 grams per deciliter of blood. Alpha and beta are the two examples. These are made in the liver, and I should go back real quick. Albumins are also made in the liver. Their job is to transport iron, lipids, and fat-soluble vitamins, so that would be vitamin A, D, E, and K. And then they also contribute to that osmotic pressure along with the albumin. Gamma globulins, otherwise known as antibodies or immunoglobulins, are responsible for your immune response. And these are not made in the liver. They're actually made by specialized white blood cells called plasma cells. And then finally, fibrinogens, 0.2 to 0.45 grams per deciliter. These are also made in the liver, just like the alpha-beta globulins and the albumin. And their job is to function in blood clotting. So those is kind of a summary of what plasma is.